What's going on, family? We are going to touch something today. Is Money Mindset Monday. We just want to go into some things, and I got some heat for y'all today. Okay, I hope y'all got your pens ready and your notebook ready. Okay, so we're gonna cover 5 things, right, that you need to know in order to ensure your family experiences generational wealth. Now, when I mean generational wealth, I don't mean generational wealth like your children. I mean 2 or 3 generations after you. So when you die, your grandchildren, right, and then their grandchildren. Okay, so when you die, your children, your grandchildren, and then their grandchildren. That's 3 generations, right? Starts with you. So number one, I just want to say thank you so much for hopping on. This is very important to me. This is me staying consistent and want to make sure that I give you every week something that's going to be powerful that you could bring with you. And next week, we're going to cover actually another 5. And then the week after that, we'll cover another 5. So it's 15 ways. Okay. We're just going to cover 5 today. Okay. Number one on the chart. Okay. Before I even go into this, let me just tell you what we're up against. Okay. Let me tell you what we're up against. Now, by the age of 65, 1 out of 100, okay, Americans will be well off. That means 1 out of 100 by 65. So by 65, only 1 out of 100 Americans will be well off. Okay, meaning that they'll be willing and able to pay their bills and able to live a comfortable life. Okay, um, I would say 70% of that 70% of the 1%, all right, of the 1 out of 10, 70% will lose their generational wealth um, by the second generation at 70%. So 70% will lose generational wealth by the second generation. So that means that 70% of the people won't have any money by the time they won't have any money for their children. Okay, so that's real. Okay, and then also 30% won't have any money for their grandchildren. Okay, so these are some things that we want to cover. We want to really avoid these things because this is something that we don't talk about too much in our culture. As you do see my shirt, generational wealth, learn it, use it, change it, and I just want to just talk about the mindset first before we jump into this. These are not things that you have to make a big fuss of. You just take time, write down your goals, and manifest those things. Try to be around the people who have these things, and strive to get information that you need. Okay, so we're gonna jump into this. Okay, first thing first. Okay, buying land. Buying land is the number one thing you should do to build generational wealth. It's the first thing you should do. Okay, why? Because land is something that is not going to be here all the time. Land is not something that they're making more of. Okay, so land is not something that they just say, oh yeah, we're gonna make more land. No, you gotta buy it and you gotta get it and you gotta keep it. Okay, so buying land is so important. Why is it important? Again, because honestly, we all know that buying land is like having money in the bank. When you buy land, it's kind of like not kind of like, definitely like you just, you have something that's an asset you can borrow against, and you don't have to worry about losing it. Okay, unless you sell it. So buying land is number one. Okay, another one. Okay, buying cash flow property. Now, we all know buying a one family is nice. I'm in one right now. I'm in Georgia. I'm loving it. Heat is bumping. I'm comfortable in my office, right? But I have a basement that brings cash flow. It brings $2,000 a month. My mortgage is probably $3,000 a month. Do the math. So that's just one property, the house that I live in. Now, multiple properties you could buy. You could easily get into commercial. You could easily get into residential. You could buy multiple properties. You could buy doors. These are things that you want to do, but don't buy a property for emotional purposes. Okay, I do know you have a baby on the way. I know you want to get married. I know you want to move your mother and your family out of where they are, but you got to think of where they're all going to be and how after they leave, how you're going to make money on that property. Okay, so that's number two. Okay, Number three, okay, number three, okay, buy in evergreen business. Okay, so evergreen business is something that is always going to be working and always going to be making money. Okay, now a lot of businesses that are evergreen, liquor stores. Okay, we all know liquor stores are evergreen. Would I buy a liquor store? No, because I would want to buy something that would be damaging, or not necessarily damaging, but I wouldn't want to buy something and this is just me. Okay, so this is not you. I'm just saying for me, liquor store is something that is in the category of not it's recession proof. It's a great business. Got a lot of respect for it. But for someone who's looking to build in the community, we already have enough liquor stores. You know what I'm saying? But I would say that, getting into a business as an evergreen business is something that is an essential business that could survive in any recession. Okay. So it could be anything like selling socks. People need socks. People need shoes. People need clothes. Essential. People need consultants. Real estate is an essential business. People need to buy property. They need consulting, credit repair, essential business. um, Life insurance, an essential business. So these all they don't have to go and necessarily buy a business, but you could also be a consultant and work in an essential business. Me, I sell life insurance. I help people with their business and their credit, and I also sell real estate and help people invest in real estate. Those are my three sectors. But for you, you might want to find something that you love doing that you can, wrap your hands around, and something that will survive in hard times. Okay, so that's number three. Now, number four. Okay, number four, and this is shout out to Market Mondays. Shout out to EYL. Shout out to all my brothers at EYL, the whole family. Y'all always giving heat every Monday. Invest in the S&P 500. Invest in stocks. Invest. Okay. Now the S&P 500 is something that you can invest in, even if you do not have um, knowledge of stocks, right? Because think about it. I mean, we all think stocks are scary. When we think about stocks, sometimes we think about the matrix, the black screen with the green numbers going down, right? I get it. I get it. It could be crazy looking at and learning something new. But number one, you got to learn new stuff if you want to be, you know, um, better every day. That's number one. Okay. But S&P 500, it's the best way. And I'll explain to you real brief what the S&P 500 is. S&P 500 is it's a bundle of 500 companies, right? 500 companies that have done very well in this economy, and you could jump into these companies and invest with these companies. Why should you have to figure out what company is good to invest in when you could just look at the S&P 500 and invest there? Now, of course, there are a lot of ways to invest, and investing in stocks is all I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that you have to um do it the S and the S&P way, but I would say that there is a way that you can do it and get it done. All right, and start doing it. Okay, so start investing in the S&P 500. Invest in the best companies. Now, Vanguard and Fidelity are two companies that you can do this with. Okay, so Vanguard. Now, I am not a member of Vanguard or a member of Fidelity, but I do respect their gangster, and I will say that if they are giving you information, definitely, and do some research on the S&P 500. Okay, now one of the main things that I will end this conversation with, because I think generational wealth is a conversation for all people, walks of life, and no matter who you are. So we're going to go into what is something that you really, really, really want to get right now. This is something that I would say is the most important out of all five. Now, shout out to the $100 million group. Just want to say shout out to them. Powerful group that I'm a part of, and we are able to build and give information to our families. And not just that, it's an organization where you could possibly get become a motivational speaker. You become a a coach, and you can be able to give a lot of information and be around like-minded people. So shout out to the $100 million group. Just wanted to say that. And back to the number five thing, the hottest thing I would say. Okay, three words. Okay, die. Oh no, you don't want to die first. Buy, right? Buy, borrow, die. Buy, borrow, die. Buy, borrow, die. BBD. Okay, let me explain to you, right? Buying, right? Buying assets. We went over that. Buying assets, buying real estate, buying businesses. These are things that you're going to be buying, right? Land, income, property. These are things that you're doing, right? Getting into businesses that are recession proof. That's important, right? Now, when it comes down to buying these things, you want to buy, but you don't want to sell these things. You don't want to sell your house all the time because you want money. You could borrow against your house and use that money to do something else. So you buy, you borrow, right? And what you do is that you leave something for your children or their children's children by holding on to the asset. Now, how do you protect your assets? You can protect your assets by putting them in the trust. You can make sure you have a will and you have a living will as well, because sometimes we are not always, you know, we don't always die. Sometimes we are, we're not able to function. And because of that, we need someone to help us with our assets. But a lot of people die and they don't have wills. A lot of people don't have a trust. I get it. A trust is not for everybody financially, it's for people who have assets. But dying without a will is ridiculous. And that is the number one reason why people lose a lot of assets. Let me tell you, just so you know, okay, there is something called inheritance tax. And inheritance tax is when pretty much what the government charges you for you giving money to another person in your family. You want to avoid those by pretty much getting tax cuts and being able to work. Now, whatever area you work in, you have to learn your tax code in your area, and you want to make sure you understand how that works. But the tax is between 17 to 40%. 17 to 40%. So 17 to 40% of people are being taxed to inherit and to give money to other people in their family. So you're being taxed to give money to your family. This is why you have to set up the right type of, you have to set up the right type of accounts, and you have to set up the right advice as well for your family, and make sure that they have this advice so they know exactly what are the things that they need to know, especially when it comes to financial wealth. Okay, so these are the 5 things. Okay, I go over them one time again. Buying land, you want to make sure you buy cash flowing property. Okay, you want to make sure you get into an evergreen business that's recession proof. You want to invest in the S&P 500, okay, at least, okay, minimum, okay. And you also want to understand the formula BBD. That's buy, borrow, and die. Buy, borrow, and die. It's very important for you to understand that, because that will give you everything that you need to know to give you the mindset. Okay, you're buying it, you're borrowing against it, and then, when you die, you keep the asset and you keep it for your family. But you want to die the right way. Make sure you have life insurance. Definitely. So that being said, thank you so much, family, for taking the time to hop on this live. And if you are here next week, we will be here. We will cover the other 5 um, really important ways to achieve generational wealth. The other 5. Okay. Thank you so much.